Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Yeah, man, if you hear the jokes that we told some days, you think you were in church and the pastor was on fire. Well, as we invite you to be a part of our discussion and we talk about the National Health Strategy, we have both the CMO, we have the CNO. All we need now is the ELO. You remember that group? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back. And they say, where does laughter? There's probably health in it. How can you not have health and have laughter? Well, Dr. Nick Gent and Ms. Felicia McLean, thank you very much for coming on board. It is one thing to be able to sit across the table with others in fellowship, to exchange information and to do it in such a way that you come away more informed, inspired, so enthused and energized that you recognize that through your endeavors you have this, great sense of purpose. So, Dr. Gent, maybe after we chat with Miss Felicia, we'll feel that way too. You never know.
You never know.
How are you, sir?
Good, thanks. And I say you're cheering up every time I meet you. The shoulder's a little less sore. The smile's a bit broader.
Yeah, I walked in today. Thank you very much, man. I know mid-December when I walked into the orthopedic, he looked at me. He said, "You must be in pain. There's no smile in your face." I thought, man, a broken heart, it could only be worse. Right, Felicia? But you wouldn't know about that.
No one wouldn't know about that.
I pray you never do. And I say that partly because in health, we always think about heart health, and only after something has transpired. But health and wellness, unfortunately, I think, has become so bantered about that it loses its impact, and maybe we only see physical health. That smile to which you reference has to come from within, and it can't be forced. But there are times, I think, if you genuinely say, what is it that is good? The mind will be purposeful and find the good. Right, Miss Felicia? And you're that positive energy.
For sure. I love to smile and look at things on the bright side. But I'm super excited right now to be a part of the Ministry of Health and Wellness as we embark on this National Health Strategy. Basically, the goal is to develop a plan that's going to guide our government for the next 10 years in regards to the health and wellness needs for our community. And so starting May 1st, which is just Wednesday. I can't believe Wednesday is May 1st. It's just crazy. But Wednesday, May 1st, all the way through May 31st is the public consultation period. And in there, we are really going to our nonprofit organizations, our faith-based organizations, our government entities, our healthcare professionals, the public at large, also the insurance commission bodies, councils, boards, everyone. We want to hear from everyone because the Ministry of Health and Wellness has been committed to doing data-driven policies. The STEPS program was one that they recently completed that gave us the kind of like the heartbeat of the community of what our health is like with non-communicable diseases. And that's going to feed now into this public consultation period that's going to tell us, now we know what the health is like. Now tell us how your interactions is, what your needs are. Are they being met? Where can we fill the gaps? What do we need to do to make sure that we have good preventative health care as well as actual health care, and then going into the future for the next 10 years?
So I want to ask, and for me it is instructive, but it's absolutely essential that a country looks, long term. And even if you're thinking 100 years from now, even say 500 years, but at the very least 100 years, most of us, I'm praying that I'll be around and very active and doing all the things, right? But if not, I want to make sure my impact, however little or a lot, isn't one that is so destructive. So in that view, two things. Why are we doing this now? And what is it that is driving us to do it now?
Great questions. So first and foremost, there was a national strategy back in 2012 that was done. It was done for 5 years. And so that means that it's been finished since 2017. So we're 7 years behind having a national policy, guidelines that tell us where healthcare should be and what it should look like. And we need to get that back in place because we've seen our population grow. We've seen events like COVID and other things happening recently. And what we need to do now is to reinstate that policy that allows our government to know that plan of how we're going to meet the needs of our population from a healthcare standpoint.
Dr. Jen?
And it is comprehensive that we're looking at here. And so it is understanding that we're moving right the way from public health. That's what people do, and we help them to do about their own health, the determinants of health. And that's an area we know from the STEP survey we're falling down on. And we've drastically got to do something about that. We've got to get that right. You can throw all the money you like at health care, but if people have not done the best to keep themselves in the healthiest possible state, it's a losing battle. You're papering over the cracks. Yeah. So all the way through primary care services, do we do enough to do right to make sure that chronic disease management, I'll go on and on about diabetes and hypertension. Give me a soapbox and I'll be up there for hours. But do we do that right? We're very heavily secondary care dominated and tertiary care dominated in the Cayman Islands. We look to get care at hospitals where care should probably be given at a more community level, and particularly then becomes accessible care. One of the issues I'm very, very concerned about is that we have a disenfranchised proportion of the population, people who can't access, don't know how to access, and are worried they can't afford to access healthcare and put problems off. In the Cayman Islands, we've probably got one of the most complex healthcare systems that you'll see anywhere, with multiple insurers, multiple providers, and a system that has grown so rapidly over 25 years or so, and now needs probably a good look at to say, have we got the right balance of things in the right places so we're serving the people who need it? Again, another one of the things has been part of my career for 40 years has been making sure that we as the ministry are representing people who have needs, the people who are disenfranchised, the people with mental health problems, learning disabilities, people who are poor and cannot afford, people who are in prisons, whatever. The well-off and the people who have knowledge, they can represent themselves, they can work the system, but the system doesn't always look after everybody we should as a decent society. So there's going to be lots of kind of things like that. Yes, we want to delve down into lots of elements about accountability, safety, effectiveness, the range of clinical services that are offered, all of that kind of thing. So it's a bit difficult for us to come here and say, this is what it's about. Yeah. Probably, if we were to sum it up in any words at all, it would be saying this survey is about people giving us their experience so that we can start to feed that against lots of other data, such as the STEPS data, to say this is what's most likely going to produce the healthcare service that is going to maximise the length and quality of life being really, really important.
After the break, let's maybe ask and try to answer some of those things, maybe share a bit more, maybe in our discussions and on this ongoing public exercise, we would invite not just participation but ownership and help us to drive the agenda.
Yes.
All right, we're going to pause and take the break, and when we return, the National Health Strategy discussion with the CMO and the CNO.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments April 29th to May 5th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you are seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 949-9020.
Rotary District Governor David Cacaldi, First Lady Christina, the Rotary community of the Cayman Islands, the people of the Cayman Islands welcome Rotary District Conference 2024 attendees to the Cayman Islands. 14 countries, over 10 islands, over the Northwest Caribbean, an intersection of service above self. Rotary District 7020. The fellowship, the innovation, the service to community, to the region, to the world. Welcome District Conference Cayman 2024. Rotary, create hope in the world.
Our rich and diverse natural environment is one of our most important assets. Strong coral reefs are our first line of defense against intense storm waves. Healthy seagrass beds and mangrove forests provide a nursery for the sea creatures we depend on, while our native forests stimulate our rain cycles and help to control inland flooding. Economic resilience requires environmental resilience.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks to Dr. Nick Gent and Ms. Felicia McLean for joining us as respectively Chief Medical Officer and Chief Nursing Officer. We talk about the National Health Strategy. Dr. Gent, if I might just ask, sometimes I think many times things are said and really, question as to what does that mean? Other, then people assume well everybody knows, or sometimes we're not quite sure until after. If I might, in saying that, just revisit something. You talked about secondary care and tertiary care.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask what those two are, but does that mean that there's a primary care?
Yes.
Primary okay.
Yep. Sorry, using the lingo again.
Yeah.
We tend to think in terms of care structures. The primary care structures are the first point of call that people should have, and for many people it should be the only care they need most of the time. And those are the care services that are provided in usually out of community settings or sometimes in people's own homes. So we think really of the general practitioner service as being a very good example. But we're maybe missing a point here in that there are lots of people who could be doing more in people's homes and in community settings. Again, this is something we might talk about in the National Health Strategy. So, for instance, giving nurses the ability to prescribe medicines, pharmacists ability to prescribe medicines, and to be able to monitor health conditions, which may be far more accessible than how things are currently constructed. Psychiatric nurses being able to do more work in the community, midwives with extended roles, and so on. And this is really important because, as I say, the people with knowledge of the system and the people who have got are financially comfortable, they can go and get the care where they want. But often the people who are poorest and most disadvantaged can't, and we need to take care to them. And primary care, the community care setting, is where we can do that. When we talk about secondary and tertiary care, we're thinking about higher levels of specialism. So secondary care would be, for instance, the Georgetown Hospital, where we're seeing people would go ordinarily for the emergency department, general medicine, general surgery, obstetrics, pediatrics. The core subjects are the things that people need every day if they need a hospital setting. And tertiary care, we're talking about the specialised care, whether it might be things like, say, cardiothoracic surgery or some specialised orthopaedics or whatever. And that might be something that we provide on the islands, and it might be something that we actually say we should not provide on the islands, we should provide elsewhere, because obviously the numbers of cases that you see in tertiary care in a population this size are relatively small, and sometimes you want people to be seen in a centre which sees lots of that kind of patient, and so that means maybe having to go overseas and getting that balance right. So it's, have we got the right services in the right places, from the community to the hospital to what we do on the islands and what we do off the islands, and it's that mix. But remember, that's the healthcare services, and this health strategy is more than about the health services. There's a lot in here that we need to remember. It's about people not getting ill to start with. That's an important point.
Ms. Felicia?
No, for sure. So, as he explains, these are all the things in regards to health as we tend to look at it. We get sick, we need to go see a doctor. But we are going to be engaging all the government ministries in the sense of agriculture and food sustainability. Do people have the option to get the proper nutritional support that they need to then inform their health and be able to actually maintain what the doctor might have suggested for them? And also, if we look at sports and wellness and health, are our kids getting the activity level they need to have? Do they have the option? Are the activities affordable for them to be able to then, challenge that kind of childhood obesity that we've seen through the STEPS program? So it's taking all that information, looking at those things. Our environment, air control and all those kind of things will play into this health strategy, because all of the areas in life is going to affect that mental health as well, as Dr. Jet mentioned as well. And what that looks like, are we able to provide good mental health so that people can stay mentally safe to be able to continue to do and live well, and as he mentioned, quality of life. And so it's a whole holistic approach to health and wellness for the country outside of just the individual institution. And so that's why it's so important to hear from the public during this consultation period when it starts, so that we can, and like he says, it'll inform the document. So if I say that, my child needed X amount of care but couldn't get it, and you say that, then that populates and says, hey, by the way, there's this area that we may be missing out, or we can't get the medication. We've gotten the prescription to get this kind of medication for high blood pressure, but we can't afford it, and you can't afford it, and you can't afford it. Well, we need to look at some. So it's really going to be data driven to help us meet the needs of the population from a health and wellness standpoint.
And we keep hearing a lot about that, data. It comes into play. And with the STEPS program that we completed, a couple of things. Do we have a full sort of comprehensive analysis of the data that is coming from the STEPS program? Do we know what it told us? Is that publicly available? If it is,
it's going to be soon publicly available with, I should say, Miss Rachel.
Yes.
the royal we, but she's been slaving away at that, and we've got the first level of what we call the data book. That's all the preliminary analyses that tell you the figures, like the proportions of people who've got this or that experience or so on. But the next level is the more analytical statistics, which is saying we've got a problem within this, with this condition. Let's look at the underlying demographics or potential causes or understandings as to why that's a problem here, because that then takes you to what you can do about it. So we're a long way down there. We've been doing the internal review of the preliminary statistics. We're now at generating hypotheses that we want to do some more detailed analysis of, and the plan will be for us to start to release that data in the near future, so that people own it and use it. Maybe not release the whole thing all at once, but release sections of it so that people can debate and understand all the different sections, rather than just be faced with a big, here it all is, War and Peace. And
for some of us, we would like that. Every document be accessible.
All of that will be. All of that will be
there.
But also, we think we'd like to do something a little bit more prolonged by getting out explanatory pieces about sections, so that people can think really carefully about and contribute to the what do we do now.
I hear what you're saying, and I like it. And to the late Miss Deborah Borden from the Commission Secretariat, what she had done with the Sid Her, as the manager, then driving the discussions for the Constitution. Here's the document. It was not only during the the initial discussions about what they would look like, but after the document was now approved, we came through, and I'll offer this publicly to whichever team you delegate. Take section by section. The whole document is in the public domain, and on a weekly, monthly, very, very consistent basis, we take a section and go through it, because I don't believe we are cognizant of the importance of the fact that our wealth is our health. With that, Dr. Gent, you referenced earlier, I think this was your word, we have a complex healthcare system. For many of us, we will go, well, we do.
You do.
And
we do.
It is, well, I think you're being kind when you say that way. What do you mean by that? Why is it complex? Well, let's start with those.
Okay. Firstly, it's complex from a funding perspective, in that we have multiple insurers, and within insurers we have multiple entitlements, because the plans are all potentially different. We have one core baseline with lots of different plans built.
You mean chic? If you're not careful, you mean
yes. I'm very careful about.
Yeah, we're very careful.
I like.
Yep, I think we all know what is implicitly said behind that. Okay.
Sorry, what's that? I'm not sure.
and then we move on up through that. So different entitlements to different levels of of care across different plans. So that's complex, and people knowing and understanding that. Then we have got also things like the NGS 55 budget, which is always, of course, politically very sensitive, that provides for people with Cayman status who are uninsured or whose insurance has been insufficient for their needs. But we have a very marked imbalance between what's in insurance budgets for primary care and secondary care, and that's probably mitigating against people getting a continuity of care for things like diabetic care. And we saw that with STEPS. The proportion of people who know they've got diabetes and are not being treated was quite an eye-opener. So there's that. Then we have, I've lost count of how many providers of healthcare we've got, with no overriding structure for how that's delivered. And within that, we don't even have the clinical care pathways, so there would be a similarity of care and evidence that it is the best evidence-based care that's being given. So it's a very rich system in a lot of ways, and we have got some extremely good clinicians and clinical services, but it's a service that's not evolved through anybody saying, hey, this is actually what the population needs, because these are the health problems. So that's a bit of an overview. But
no, I get it, and I thank you. And this is where, as we go into the break, maybe return, maybe having a chance to engage in the strategy may help us to step back and, what is it? He who feels it knows it, right? It's only when we access, we have a healthcare plan, but we only realize, oops, it doesn't cover this. You may have assumed that it would, or maybe it did, but it doesn't at that point to that extent. What does that mean for you? And then does it come back? A couple of the things that you referenced that I'm hoping that will lead us as a public to not just see this as another consultation period, or the government is doing something. See this as something that is a significant driver. I think it was you, Ms. Felicia, said last time. You may be taking your child now, but what happens in X years, the child's taking you. And that resonates with many of us. Okay, after the break, can we take a few more minutes?
Of course. Yeah.
And we'll find out what that's good. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
This Mother's Day, Digicel wants to take you to brunch. We're giving away brunch vouchers for you and mom to enjoy a delightful feast together. Winning is easy. Simply activate the postpaid Supreme plan or the 30-day Prime Max plan, and you could be our lucky winner. Don't let the chance to treat mom to a special day out slip away. Visit your nearest Digicel store today or hop onto the My Digicel app for your shot at winning. Make this Mother's Day a memorable one with Digicel.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Our climate is changing, and so is Cayman. Stronger and more frequent hurricanes, longer periods of drought, sea level rise, and higher temperatures are already impacting our communities. If we take nature into account before we act, we can harness nature's benefits and reduce the devastation caused by natural disasters. Because when we put nature front and center, nature can provide the solutions.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to Dr. Nick Gent and Ms. Felicia McLean for sharing with us about the National Health Strategy. And I think, Ms. Felicia, you referenced Wednesday. I mean, that's the 1st of May.
Yeah.
It launches, it goes live, and we can comment and contribute. But then on the 31st of May, well, we never wait until the next round of sort of that public engagement, but those formative days are instructive. I want to maybe ask, unless there's something either you wish to say as we continue the discussion, if I want to ask one or two things more.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Dr. Jen, you reference NGS 55.
Yeah.
Right? Part of a budget process.
Yeah.
I can go, some people going Googling, and what does that mean?
That's,
well,
yeah, it's, and I hate the phrase, it's the indigent fund. That's an old phrase from Victorian 1800s public health and welfare and poor law movement, and I wish we'd find another phrase for it. And I mean, I see applications for that, and generally speaking, people have this idea that the indigents are people who are not looking after themselves, not caring for themselves, are lazy, and that is not the case. The people I'm seeing, they get referred, they've got serious health conditions, they're Caymanian status, their insurance has run out. Yeah. They've done everything to look after themselves, so it's not. Yeah. So that's why I hate that phrase.
No. Thank you. I think most of us too, because I was long ago introduced that we somehow started to coin a term within our jurisdiction as medically indigent. Yes. Right. We put some sort of proviso qualifier before it, and in doing that, maybe as part of this discussion, I must share this was informed by some discussions we've had over the weekend as to people looking at the country and the way forward. What is it that we're doing and not doing? How can, and presumably many of the services, education, healthcare, and like are presumably only accessed by Caymanians, or only accessible to Caymanians, when in fact there may be a perception that it isn't. Is it not? Can we figure that out? If you follow where I'm taking us, Miss Felicia?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to just keep, I think, looking forward in the general sense, and I think that's part of what this strategy is about. While we're gathering information now for what's happening now and what people experience are in the past and current, the idea is to have a document that's going to take us forward, and that's what we need to keep focusing on as what do we want it to look like, what are we missing, and where do we need to go, as Dr. Gent alluded to, this comprehensive health plan, but does it meet the needs? Are we really able to care for the people, to help them to care for themselves as well, like that preventative care? If we don't have good community care happening and everyone is going to the hospital to get the care because that's the only part of their insurance plan that's covered, then are we getting it too late in the game, and then they're not able to have good health, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're hoping to gather this information so that we can look at going forward with it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a song that alludes to the fact that you spend all your time making money, and then all of a sudden now you're spending your money trying to get your health back. You know, and that would mean, is that what is happening to us? You know,
I think it's possibly even worse than that in some ways, because we've got a significant proportion of the population not even able to make the money, you know, to buy the healthcare back. They are poor and ill, and we have to look at those. And that's got to be a special interest of the ministry and the chief clinical officers like Felicia and myself. It's Felicia and myself. We've got to care for those people, and that's when one of the things I'm a bit worried about this whole exercise is that the people who come and talk to us will be the people who, you know, already have a voice.
Yeah.
And you know, the ways that they can access us through, like doing the questionnaire on the website, or sending in a WhatsApp comment, or emailing us, that's actually going to miss a lot of people who just can't afford or don't have access to those kind of things. So finding ways that they can speak to us, particularly coming along to the public meeting settings, not being afraid to speak to us and telling us their story, even if it's only 3 lines. I had this problem, I could not get this care because of this.
Right.
That is going to be so helpful to us.
It may even be similar to what perhaps the elections office have done in relation to registration, or other entities in promoting or trying to sell their raffle tickets outside the supermarkets on Saturdays or some nights of the week. I think you say the questions are only 2 handfuls.
It's 10 questions on there, and then as we mentioned, you have the spot where you can put those 1, 2, 3 lines if that's the way that works for you, or you could just WhatsApp us if you're on. I mean, most of us have WhatsApp, or not most, but a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, you can WhatsApp that 3 comments in, and your feedback is welcomed. You can email at mohfeedback@gov.ky. Yet again, just an explanation. I don't have time to do the survey, but I want to tell you my story. Tell me your story. It'll feed into it. It'll make a difference. Also, for those people who can't necessarily make it to the town hall meeting or don't have access, if they are listening to us now, then we wanted to remind them that we'll be back on May the 8th for a public consultation period via this radio station. And so they can then call in those comments, those concerns, those thoughts, and it will be then added into this consultation period. So lots of different ways to be heard. And I love your suggestion of going to by the supermarkets. What we are trying to do is to network with the Department of Children and Family Services and their older persons population with their monthly meetings that they tend to have, and trying to go there with them, because some of them don't have access to the devices, don't have the computers, or aren't, like you said, tech savvy in that regard. So we're going to meet them where they're at. We're going to go to the sister islands and meet them where they're at, trying to find ways to get in there, potentially having the NGO, the Meals on Wheels and Alex Panton Foundation reach out to their entities and encourage them to get involved, or have their people that deliver food, you know, stop and ask a couple of questions and get some feedback. We're welcoming it all. We want to hear from everyone.
This is key, and I'm mindful that for so many of us, we may already have a preconceived notion. For many of us, oh, one more thing I need to do now. But I hope you don't mind, Ms. Felicia, has, I know, resonated with many of us, me in particular, when you said, you would be taking our children now, what happens down the road when our children are taking us? That could be 10 years from now. That could be 40 years from now. You know, that child is 50 and we're in 90, for argument's sake, right? All right, well, any closing thoughts, Dr. Jet, you might want to share?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to see through to the future, but an awful lot of the problems that we want to solve are probably here now. Medicine moves very fast, don't get me wrong, but I think there are the very basics of what often goes wrong in healthcare systems is access. It's as simple as that. Am I getting to be able to get the care I need for the problems that I have got? Am I being able to do that in a timely way? Am I being treated well as a patient? Am I being looked after, remembering there's an imbalance of power here? I'm the person in need, but I don't understand what the needs are. So there's a lot about this being about a caring, humane service, but an accessible service, and we need to know what it is that, with humility, what it is we are getting wrong at the present time.
Ms. Felicia.
Yeah, yet again, I said it earlier, and basically, coming with my background, I'm all about patient-centered care, and this is our opportunity as the patients, because healthcare affects us all, to have our voice be heard, to say, like Dr. Jet says, what are we not getting right? What can we be doing better? This informed document, that taking the time to be a part of this consultation period, gives you that voice and ensures that the Cayman government is going from a patient-centered care approach, a data-driven approach, to inform the policies and plan for the future.
Well, I certainly appreciate you sharing what you do, and as Ms. Felicia referenced, next Wednesday here, and any and every opportunity that we can afford, well, we will certainly offer it. I don't shy away from political commentary, increasingly more and more, because maybe at a certain age and stage, but I do not think that this is one. Personally, our healthcare system is one of our pillars in the society. I've always believed that if our people are not healthy and educated, what's the point in the diamonds and the gold and the oil and the financial services or whichever? But I think Ms. Felicia, you referenced health isn't just about your physical health, or as Dr. Jet referenced, you may have great physicians and facilities that you access when something has happened. But what if the preventative aspect, the approach to exercise and diet leads to little or no diabetes or hypertension? Or
wouldn't that be grand?
That would, but I think it's possible.
It is.
Right?
Everything's possible.
I'm waiting for my good friend to come back to tell me that we can take the break, but it's all good.
Yep.
I'm excited about this, and I hope that, as enthusiastic as I am, if I get accused of being anything other than a good public servant, then I'll know how to respond. But you both have inspired, as I shared privately. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God's willing, see you before next Wednesday, but looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All right. Open line next. And across the street, there's Dwayne Ebanks. Hopefully he'll come into the studio. He says not in a snowball's chance in whatever. All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
We are Radio Cayman.
Covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million.
When you have a sports or fitness-related injury, trust the expertise of the HSA's Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic to get you back in the game. Our internationally trained and certified physicians specialize in sports traumatology, sports medicine, pain management, and orthopedic surgery. For treatment of common injuries such as tendonitis, arthritis, tennis elbow, rotator cuff, or knee tears, schedule a consultation with the Sports and Exercise Medicine Clinic at Smith Road Medical Center by calling 949-8600 or visit hsa.ky for more information.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's Home Loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly, an experienced seaman with 30-plus years with national bulk carriers and doing ship-to-ship oil transfers off the Brac during the 1980s. He was also the founder of C&H Plumbing and an original band member of the famous Brac Beach Boys. During his time home from sea, he studied the art of catboat making and assisted his late grandfather-in-law, Mr. Arthur Dilbert, with the building of many catboats.
Mr. Connolly loved serving in the community and was a volunteer during hurricane emergencies and assisted with the hurricane preparations, especially seeing to the safety of the elderly and the community. He would often share his fishing catch with friends and neighbors and bring Christmas gifts for the elderly. He was married to Elmitha Dilbert for 60 years and has 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Dwayne Ebanks. 18-year-old Patrick Campbell, who was arrested and charged earlier this month related to a knife incident in Camana Bay in March, remains in remand at His Majesty's Prison Northward. Mr. Campbell appeared in Grand Court Mentions on Friday, where he was told he would remain remanded till the 10th of May as he awaits the outcome of his legal aid application. Patrick Campbell is accused of chopping the victim, who is said to have been known to him. In regional news, Bermuda former Premier Sir John Swan has confirmed he will be contesting the May 2022 elections for the Smiths North constituency as an independent candidate. He said, in the Westminster system, the loyalty is to the party and it should be to the public. He thinks that it is time now that Bermuda has serious consideration. Does it want to continue with the system that's not working, he asks. Earlier this month, Sir John, the former leader of the United Bermuda Party and the longest-serving head of the government in the British Overseas Territory, has said he would contest the by-elections if the voters of the Smith North Division indicated that they would be prepared to support his bid. In Trinidad, Auditor General Jawanti Ramdas has sent a pre-action protocol to the Finance Minister Colm Imbert and Attorney General Reginald Amor over what she claims have been erroneous statements made by them in Parliament last Friday about her audited report for the financial year 2023. The Ramdas, who is being represented by the law firm Freedom House, headed by the former Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, is calling for a retractment of the statement made in Parliament and to set the record straight. That's your latest headlines. I'm Dwayne Ebanks.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
This Mother's Day, Digicel wants to take you to brunch. We're giving away brunch vouchers for you and mom to enjoy a delightful feast together. Winning is easy. Simply activate the Postpaid Supreme plan or the 30-day Prime Max plan, and you could be our lucky winner. Don't let the chance to treat mom to a special day out slip away. Visit your nearest Digicel store today or hop onto the My Digicel app for your shot at winning. Make this Mother's Day a memorable one with Digicel.
Water Authority Cayman wishes to inform its Cayman Brac customers that there will be temporary interruptions to water service in the upcoming week from Monday, April 29th to Friday, May 3rd, between the hours of 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on specified days. Affected streets include Bluff Boulevard, Ethel Rose Road, Bertrand Avenue, Savory Close, Valerie Avenue, Pioneer Lane, Southside Road West, unnamed road between Pioneer Lane and Lilies Lane, and Cemetery Road. Customers who will be affected will receive a door hanger notice, which will be delivered the day before service is scheduled to be interrupted. An additional door hanger notice will also be delivered upon restoration of water service. These service interruptions are to facilitate our ongoing leak detection project. The aim is to enhance our system's integrity by identifying and repairing all possible leaks. We advise customers to store enough water for personal use during service interruptions and limit the use of water-intensive appliances. For further information, customers may contact the customer service team in Cayman Brac by calling 948-1403 or emailing braccs@waterauthority.ky.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. It is going to be open line for the remainder of our program with extended invitation to a fine gentleman to join us. He may not materialize till another day, but for now, it's going to be open line. 8949-8037 or 949-6990. Want to make sure our phone lines are working, so give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. It's, I think, encouraging. I think it's actually essential. Now we look at our health strategy, and as Dr. Gent and Ms. Felicia, both in the capacity as the CMO and the Chief Nursing Officer, the CNO, we see our phone lines lighting up, so we'll take those calls momentarily. 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call 925-32621 and share your thoughts with us. Just stay online 1 second. We'll get to you in short order. But please participate in the national, health strategy. We often, comment many times after the fact. Now is the time to be very involved and informed at the outset. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, Mr. Sterling, how are you doing today?
Hey, good to hear from you. How are you?
Oh, not bad. I was thinking about this thing with the music. You know when the artists, the famous artists, come down to Cayman and they do their shows and stuff. It would be good, in my opinion, that if some of our Cayman artists can sing with them. I mean, like, if they can actually, let me see how they can do it now. Sort of mix the music. Boy, that would be so nice for history. It would be so good for Cayman history if they can, probably record music with them. Record a lot of these things.
Right. So you're sorry to cut. Are you asking? Are you suggesting that not only that the artists, the visiting international artists, perform and then the local artists on the same stage, but you're talking about performing together, but recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, well, what do you think? We've had over the years and even over the weekend, international artists come down. There are these concerts, festivals, and the like, and in between the acts and as part of the lineup, different local bands are performing.
Yeah, man. That'd be good for history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we got Bob Marley to come to Cayman, but we got his son to come to Cayman and perform.
Yeah.
It's I think Kaimana too.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Ziggy Marley come? We've had.
Ziggy.
Yeah. I mean, I remember kicking ball against him for a bit, man. Him and Lennox Lewis, a little game down by the bush one afternoon. But the thing is, though, it's well. Let me flip that around. What, in your view, can we do to help the local artists not just perform here when visiting artists come, but also through some promotion, some sort of collaboration, get them to perform in other jurisdictions, Europe, the U.S., other places? I mean, could that something that would help them?
That would help so much, big time.
Big time, huh? Yeah, man.
You see the other gentleman, what's his name? Will I Am, from the Black Eyed Peas. He had this sort of workshop with a couple people here. But if they can get the kind of workshops here, like with the music and teaching us the business, how to make it over there, how to make it here from and
right,
stuff like that. Make it big time in the business.
Yeah,
because
but I mean, if you look, right, I hope they don't mind me highlighting them. I do so with the greatest of love and respect, admiration. High Tide, right? Sheen and Sean, Sean and Sheen. If you have any of their CDs and listen to their music, you recognize high quality, right, in production and performance. And if you go to any of their events, you see people who have a strong sense of discipline and determination. They're committed to their craft, And I wonder if whether it's in music and other musicians and artists looking at them and using them as a benchmark, or if it's in sports, or whether it's the athletics or in football or some other team sport, are we as the individual, as the team, understanding how important it is to put our all into it, to be committed to it, to exercise the level of discipline? Are we expecting, manna fall from heaven every day? God will provide, but are we appreciative of the provision?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
I look up to them too. I've
Yeah,
been
man.
looking up to them from the time I was very young. Different musicians and came on.
Yeah, I mean, think of John Mitch, right? For instance.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
His songwriting, right? The way he puts out the people like Hollight and the rest. Why I use that as an example is that we have right within our midst phenomenal talent. Much is untapped, right? Much has not been, sufficiently encouraged to extract the great potential. But to your earlier point, and I'm sort of encouraged and inclined to say it, feel led by what you just said. We have the international artists, the Black Eyed Peas group come and you say having some sessions. To what extent, though, do you think, whether it's the teachers and the tutors, or whether it's the other practitioners, or whether it's the performers or the like, and the coaches and all those people that we employ, do you think that they are as competent, as we should, given what we're paying? B, are they as committed? Are they looking at our young footballers or young mathematicians or musicians or anything? And are they saying, listen, this young mind, this young individual, I'm going to pour everything into them? Or are they just here, you know what? It's not me, it's not mine, and I'm just here for the money?
I think they're pretty good, and I think it just left us to make the connection, us here locally make the connection, and have say for example some sort of workshops between some of the big time singers and some of our singers. Having a good talk, a good conference, and get us to learn more about the business, more about the runnings of it, and so that we can be on our way. They're our teachers, so they teach us. They're our teachers, so it's more that we got to learn from the teachers. You just keep on learning. And then you get more teachers on the way. You got culture artists, you got hip hop, you got R&B and soul, and like you say, Aaron Neville. I like Aaron Neville. I like Rihanna. I like Beyonce. I like Mr. Marley. I like the Marleys. I like a lot of them. I just love music, and it helped me to sing a lot like them, and it's a good development. I just think that if some of the promoters or people that bring them down, if they can help them to if they can help to get us closer with them and learn more about the business, learn how to make it big time.
Yeah.
Even because you can do it here, it's a lot of things that you can do through the internet and stuff.
No, but that's it. You see, I don't think that many of us, probably because we have not had that level of experience or introduction, that level of guidance, still relatively new to the game. But others who are from larger jurisdictions, whether in the region or in Europe or the way may see it. So let me ask, if I might, right, from your perspective, what sort of things have you done to assist your pursuit of your craft, as you look at your music, what have you done to help to bring greater awareness of your music?
Well, I've been doing quite a few things. Boy, I tell you, I got a love for this thing. Just love.
Yeah, man.
The last thing I did was a music video with a Rastaman a couple of days ago.
Okay. And then...
But anyway, I don't want to talk too much.
No, fair enough. Can I then ask, right? The second thing I want to ask, if you're, and maybe other people, and it's not just in music, it may be in other things, right? Or just generally speaking, not only what you've done, but what sort of things have you encountered that may perhaps sort of put you off track, kind of hinder and delay, your access, your success? Are there anything that you find, I don't want to say impediment, but let me find an easier word, but have sort of been little stumbling blocks, as it were, in your attempt to get things going for you? Anything in particular?
I think money is the bigger problem. The investment, the money in the skill, because you got to have the confidence too. You got to have the confidence, the bravery.
Yeah, man.
So sing on the stage and all that. You got to be wanting to go into it 100%.
Right.
Me and this girl, we used to, from time she was very young, we used to sit down, write songs. She recorded. She did some pretty good songs. I did a couple things with different singers here and from other countries.
Yeah, man.
But if we can get that good connection, that we can spend some time, maybe like 3 days, of conference, some sort of conference workshop sort of thing with some of the big boys and some Cayman boys, Cayman girls, that'd be pretty good.
Can I if you'd allow me to ask you one for this particular discussion, one other question, please. Do you think that either the local community, however that's defined, so all the people who are here physically, how serious do you think the local community takes its own, whether it's the student, whether it's the athlete, whether it's in academics or sports or music or whatever? Do we see the person and go, you know what, that person got a lot of potential, a lot of talent, let's invest in them? Or do they go, look at him, look at her, and don't pay it any mind? What's your view? How serious do we take that person?
I am telling you, boy, I don't know what to say sometimes.
Yeah, man.
It's serious, because I came across a lot of challenges myself, and the thing is, for example, they wanted me to do gospel. I say, well, I can't do gospel right now, not really, because I can't live up to that, at the present time.
Mm-hmm.
And I love gospel, but I do. But however, sometimes our people don't take us seriously. We don't have the big name, like the big boys. So, and then you can't invest in the big boys, but they don't know. These people don't know the kind of money that they can make investing in singers, and for example, because the money just keeps on being made for decades and decades. Like you see, like how Bob Marley music just be selling and it just goes on for decades and decades. Cayman boys will be free one day. We will be on top one day. On top when they get to realize the value in our music.
Yeah, as I listen to you, I am reading and responding to a comment from a listener who has, as I exchanged it quickly, and I'll paraphrase, but the person is saying that, we need to remember that we need to put in the work. Now, I'm paraphrasing, right? We just can't expect it to happen. And even, the great names like Rod Stewart. If you're looking at music, Michael Jackson. Or if you're looking at sports, people like Michael Jordan and the like, that they didn't get there overnight, and even when they got to that level of success and international acclaim, they continued to put in the work. They didn't, my words, they didn't just rest on their laurels. So I responded to the person, let me ask you, how do we make sure that we understand that, we got to put in the work if you want the success, you got to make the sacrifice. But I think there's also a corresponding part where we might feel either A, it's not worth it, we're discouraged at every turning point, and as you shared, the money, the equipment, whatever resources, sometimes a bit hard to come by. But if I can ask you a second one, sometimes not just we need to put in the work and we need to make sure the quality is there, we need to make sure it's not just one and done, a one hit wonder. We need to make sure that we won 1 gold medal at Olympics. Let's see if we can get 2. We won 2. You know what? Let's see if we can get 4. If that makes sense. We just don't rest on our laurels.
Yeah, I was called that one time, one hit wonder. But the studio is one of the big things in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the studio, man. We need more recording studios in here, man, and different things that can bring up. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, you can always call back. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but before you go, anything else you want to share with us?
Man, I just believe there's hope for the Caymans, man.
No, hey, hold on now. You can't say it that way, man. Hope for Cayman, right? That's what you mean, right? Me and you. All right, bro.
Okay.
Take it easy. I thank him, like all of you, for taking time to call. Like the gentleman there. Sometimes if we listen, if we are honest and, forthright, if we're sincere, genuine, we can learn a lot from anybody and everybody if we listen. Sometimes we have to navigate the discussion. We got to encourage, but sometimes we got to question. We got to inquire. We got to be deliberate, diligent, determined, not dictatorial. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hey, afternoon to you, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon. I hope you don't mind, right? I have a message that I have not sent to you, and I'm so glad you called because, man, I can send that message now.
Okay. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. When you get it, you going to say, you should not have sent that. You'll see why I hesitated, but anyway, I won't put you in trouble today.
No,
in a good way.
No That's okay. It's all good.
It's all good.
Send it on.
Send it on.
I was listening to that conversation you had there with Mr. Brown. And, yeah, I mean, you were trying to ask him something, and he was going there, and I know you framed it another way to kind of steer where I think you were thinking. And amazingly, when he was closing, he was kind of hitting at really where it's at. So there's another part of that whole entire discussion that wasn't that hasn't taken place. So I don't think our artists, all of them, I don't think they don't know or don't understand on some degree. And by the way, let me before I go there, let me just kudos to him for seeing that whole thing. I understand what he was trying to say in terms of milking the arrival of these. You got A-list actors. I don't know what you call the top-notch musicians, the A-list musicians, milking them on their visits. So maybe some of these promoters, if I could rephrase what I think he was saying, capitalize on that and not just include, for example, the stage night, but touch bases with people like the music industry and saying, hey, we want to do a little. This one, when they're coming, they're going to talk about how to get into this market or how to do this. That's what I got from what he was saying, and that was awesome. But there's a broader piece. And so back to my thoughts. I don't think that our artists lack what's the word? Drive, understanding. Because an artist is an artist. They're singing in their souls to themselves, whether we're hearing it or not. They don't need, what they're looking for is the vision, which we lack, our leadership lack, in seeing what the arts will do for the Caymanian people, and understanding and putting in place the infrastructure, which is where he was going. He talked about the studios. He talked about the money. The money is what's needed for things like the studios. It's putting together people in the industry that wants to make music happen, not just for the sake of making it happen, but because that's the expression of the souls of those Caymanians who are in that particular area. I can't sing to save my life, so I'm not going to attempt to do that. Or I can't write a piece of music. I shouldn't say can't, but you understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you, man.
It's the chicken before the egg thing. You were going at the egg, and are we not dealing with perhaps the chicken? So there's the infrastructure. And we do the same thing in sports, for example. I mean, in 2024, we're still not paying our national team side. The closest we got to that was Dr. Frank McField some time ago. Don't know what happened to that. Don't know what's going on. I think it melted down to highlighting, as I recall, a few key artists, athletes, and paying them a stipend. I think there were a few of them that's publicly known that were on the books or still is on the books, and I don't know where that is. At one point in time, it was Mr. Whitaker and his boxing. There was another one, I think, Sidoni. That's the level of which that went to. But it goes much further when we're talking about developing the sports. So the inspiration behind moving young people from the series that they play every year to aspiring to get to, for example, the national team side that represents the Cayman Islands, and thrusting that whole entire idea forward of you're going to be paid. At the very least, we're going to have medical insurance for you. So if you get hurt as a national team player, you're taken care of. Those sort of things. And it's the same within the arts. So the vision from a structural, strategic standpoint is lacking. We're still in the era of our children need to get into banking. Maybe not so much so now because we've seen what that is all doing for us. And I don't mean banking. I'm using banking as a reference to not understanding that people, Caymanian children, have different visions for themselves sometimes. And the country needs to find where that is and support that holistically. That's how your nation build. And so that's what's lacking. The structure, the vision for understanding that we are more than a tourist destination.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. And I like what you're sharing. As you were just referencing, I was looking at a similar comment from others. And I know we have the break, so I want to do two things. I want to ask if you were inclined, do you want to hang on? Is there more you want to say?
I can hang on if you want to ask me something.
Yeah. But here was the thing I want to ask, so I'll leave that on the table. You can mull it over, right? Is simply this: when we bring people here as performers, whether in music, whether it's an event for sports or whatever, to what extent, we're looking at the pool from which we're bringing, the caliber that is here. And like your last point, the expectations are there. Can we have them do more than just come, perform, take, and go back, whether it's a play at the Lions Center or some of the performance, right? And how do we facilitate that? So maybe we can talk about that a bit, you think?
I think I can throw a couple of thoughts.
All right, there you go. Well, when we come back, it's a fine gentleman with a strong intellect who has courage and a desire to share publicly. And I certainly want to hear what more he has to say. So stay tuned.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Do you have a chronic illness? Are you a parent or guardian of a child with special health needs? Can you access healthcare services easily? We want to hear from you. From May 1st to May 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be undertaking a public consultation to help inform Cayman's new National Health Strategy. Tell us about your experiences with healthcare across all 3 islands by emailing mohfeedback@gov.ky or by logging on to gov.ky/health-wellness and complete the survey.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube.
Download
our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to the fine gentleman for just sticking on for a bit. We do have another caller after, but hey, thanks for holding on. You doing well?
No problem, Sterling.
All right, appreciate it, man.
So I've thought about what you asked. Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I don't see why that could not happen. For the same reasons that the artists that are coming, whoever they are, they're already there. They have arrived, so to speak, in their field for the most part. You know, we're talking about some of the names you called, for example, and Mr. Brown called, for example. You know, they are top notch, and oftentimes, so they're very zealous and passionate about the industry as it is, and passionate about music. And so I couldn't see why, if we do, which is what I heard him say as well, if we do our part in terms of making that part of their contract, their terms, and will it cost more? Maybe. But how about if we had sense as a nation, and we were passionate about our people, then, for example, if there's an additional cost, then maybe that promoter can come to, you know, government or whatever it is, whatever we create, whether it's, you know, it's a non-for-profit side thing and government funds it or whatever, to say, hey, they're going to be doing a workshop at UCCI in the music section, or they're offering this or whatever, and it's going to cost an additional thing for me to bring them down and for them to do this side session. And listen, you'll find that many of them will just do that just because, and it won't cost any extra, but just in case it did, I couldn't see why it couldn't happen, you know what I mean? Because as I said, they're reputable and they don't need an additional $5,000 to do a thing if they're top notch in their field and they're already making $35,000 for coming and singing for an hour or two.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So
I appreciate it, man. It makes sense, right?
I couldn't see why it couldn't happen. But just the last thing, because I know you said you have another caller, just along the same lines. We just had some young people who are doing fabulous and likely potentially gold medalists or certainly medalists within the Olympics coming up, for example. We're not doing anything along those lines, and for many years, many years, many of us has been touting that. I did from 2013 when I stood in the gap, and that's the sort of thing. The vision is lacking. We're not there. We're hell bent on creating enabling legislation to support this industry and support that industry, and it's all good and proper, but then we're not nation building and then wondering why we're falling through the cracks. Thanks, Sterling.
No, thank you, man. And I may pick up on something you just said, but thank you for that, all right? Let's take this next call. Thank you for holding on. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Yeah, hello? All right. 949-8037, 949-6990. You there? Welcome. Yeah. Hello? There's almost... Okay, you got me on hold. When you're ready, we'll chat with you. And we'll keep trying that call. You can also WhatsApp call 925-32621 if you want. While we try to connect with that caller, to the last caller's point, do you think when we're looking, and perhaps borrow a page from the Cayman Arts Festival, they have not only brought down very, internationally renowned, performers. They had, a few instances, the up and coming. Okay, what's this on this phone? Up and coming callers and the like. All right, we have a WhatsApp call. Perhaps we'll try taking that as well. And let's take this call in a second when it's ready. You can WhatsApp call 925-32621. Is that a WhatsApp call we're going to, my friend? Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Well, thanks very much for taking my call. I hope it is not at the expense of the other caller who was trying to reach you.
No, I don't believe it was. I think sometimes, I always say that technology is a wonderful tool, but a horrible master. And we allow ourselves to be foolishly, controlled by it, from the banks with their proposals for digital currency that with a click of a mouse, malicious or otherwise, you end up without no access to your funds, to the cars that drive themselves, and we sit foolishly in the back seat looking at a dumb screen, knowing that it's heading down 100 miles an hour and who knows what lies ahead. To our unwillingness and inability to question, even though we trust, we won't verify the information that we type into some internet search engine and accept that, 1 + 1 equals a zillion, and we trust it because, we typed it in. It must be correct. We'll be on to us when we follow.
Dwayne, have been so eloquent about. You've been so eloquent. I wonder whether it was a machine speaking or it was you. It was
Well, I put it this way, right? As my thoughts lead my words, and I end up without a job, it was me and not a machine.
Well, I suppose one question we could ask is that what was man made for technology or technology made for man? But, if we go by the Bible, technology was made for man. We should use it rather than it using us.
Yeah, it's. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Dwayne, there's something I was talking to Ossie about this morning. He actually raised it himself, and I had a bit of an exchange with him. I think it was very good. And I just thought I might continue the discussion with you a little bit. He raised this issue about this lawyer who was sending inappropriate texts to a client, and it turned out that she felt harassed, and before the Court of Appeal, it arose, and as a result, she won her appeal. And I think when things like that arise, we should always, see, first of all, empathize with the person to whom it happened, but also try to get a wider perspective, because a lot of times when a thing like that happens, actually other people are suffering the same way. You know, people who are like under undue influence, they can't really tell their lawyer no because they are hoping that they will be well represented. But before I go further on that, I thought that we shouldn't forget that in the prosecution of the speaker, it was found at the end of that there may have been some improper motives on the part of those people who were involved in his prosecution. Now, I don't want to get into, of course, the merits. We have to agree that the process took place in court and it ended. We don't know whether it happened or didn't happen the way in which it was described. Okay, fine. That has gone through the process, and we are now beyond that. But I think it is very important that now the governor should tell us as soon as possible what the result of her investigation is, because she said that they were going to look into that to see if there were improper motives. And I think that's very important, not just in the case of the justice of that particular case, but also the justice of a lot of people. There are a lot of people, in my view, who are prosecuted for improper motives, or sometimes they are prosecuted because they are like the weakest link, if you like. And one of those cases, in my view, is this paralegal who used to work for the Portfolio of Legal Affairs. They accused her. They said, well, she held on to a certain file, which was involving her son being alleged to have been found with marijuana. And yet, to me, I don't think that she should have been prosecuted, or if they wanted to prosecute her, they should have prosecuted the Crown Counsel who was also involved, because this young lady, what she did, full disclosure, I happen to know her just a little bit because we used to work in the same portfolio. What happened basically is that when this file came and she saw it was the son's, she went to the Crown Counsel and said, look, can you just warn my son, please, rather than prosecute him? So she made full disclosure. Okay. Now, if later on it was found she held on to the file too long, then she was responsible, but also so was the Crown Counsel. Why did they not prosecute the Crown Counsel? They prosecuted her because she was a woman, a Caymanian. She was not a lawyer. And so those are the reasons why we have to look at, whenever one issue like the former speaker happens, we should look broadly to see how other people are being affected. But talking about this lawyer, now everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't look good though, because it appears that these texts were exchanged. They appear to be inappropriate, and it seems, in addition to that, there's an allegation that she was not properly represented as a result of refusing the advances. Now we'll see whether that will be proven in practice, but prima facie we have to say that there's a case that requires investigation, and there must be some findings regarding that. Now, this kind of thing can happen anywhere in the world, but in Cayman, I think part of the added problem to this is that there are no proper procedures established to which people can go if they are harassed by a lawyer like that. At the moment, what the law says is that if you've got a problem against a lawyer, you go to the Chief Justice and complain. But there are no rules regarding how the Chief Justice handles a complaint. And this has been something that I've been concerned about, because I did once complain against a lawyer, just the Chief Justice never responded. And I found that actually it was quite common for the Chief Justice not to respond. So I did a Freedom of Information request. I asked them, can you tell me how many lawyers in the last 10 years were complained against? And you tell me what the nature of the case was, how it ended, and so forth. They refused to give me that. I went to the ombudsman. The ombudsman made them reveal that information. But it was very important that what came out, there were actually about 46 cases where people complained to the Chief Justice about lawyers. But it also turned out that they were never keeping a proper record of this, because they ended up having to go to the individual files to try and find what happened and then to compile the list, when really normally you have a list. If you complain like if you go to the civil registry of the court today, Dwayne, they have a register. When you come in, they will put in the date, the name of the parties, the lawyer, the nature of the case, and where it is at. Okay, those are things which in talk about technology. These are things which should be in the system. If I just ask, can you give me that basic information? You should be able to press two buttons, you print it, and you give it to me. So it turned out they were not even keeping records. So that is why a lot of people in Cayman have been trashed by lawyers, and there's been no accountability because that system is not transparent. If I go to an England website today for the legal ombudsman, I will find there numbers of the lawyers who were complained against, those where the allegations were investigated further and were not dealt with, like dismissed in a summary form. Their names will be there and the result is going to be there so that members of the public feel protected. In Cayman, that has not been done. Now, the second major part of this is that Judge Sir John Goldring. Sir John Goldring is the one who made the comments, of course, about the lawyer and saying he must be investigated. But I want to call that Sir John Goldring, who is president of the Court of Appeal, I want to call hypocrisy on him. The reason is this. John Goldring is a member, a significant member of this 7-member Judicial and Legal Services Commission. So they are the ones who, together with the Chief Justice, they look into the conduct of judges. And yet that same judge, he was a member of that commission, which for 7 years, they never developed complaint rules, which were required by the Constitution that they should develop so that people can complain against judges. They deliberately did not do that for 7 years until Ombudsman Sharon Ralston, after I filed a complaint, she found them guilty of maladministration. She said there is no way a commission which is mandated by the Constitution to develop rules to allow people to complain can sit for 7 years without developing these rules. And you see what was particularly egregious about that is that I initially complained like 5 years after the date they were supposed to develop the rules, which was 2016. I complained. And they said, well, yes, we are going to develop these rules very soon. But then another 2 years passed. They didn't develop the rules. Then I went to the ombudsman. So what the ombudsman emphasized, she said, look, when this issue arose 5 years after you were supposed to develop these rules, you have not acted with any urgency. And then another further 2 years after that, you are still making excuses. So she investigated, wrote a report which was made public and published in the media to say that they were guilty of maladministration. And yet, this John Goldring, Sir John Goldring, that's the one now who is saying that, you see, this lawyer has acted improperly. He himself, together with the members of his commission, were acting improperly. Another case, which was reported in the campus, this one, there was a case going on in the courts, happened to have been my case, but that's not the emphasis. A record was deleted by somebody in the judiciary in order to prejudice me as a litigant, because I was making certain allegations. I said they are in such and such a document in technology. And they said, well, that has been deleted. And the ombudsman again found that they had deleted this record after the Freedom of Information request for it had been specifically made. What does that mean? It means that specifically they were acting in bad faith and they were acting maliciously. And yet, I have asked the Chief Justice, the governor, the deputy governor, called them on another show and said, when are you going to prosecute these people who deleted this record? This is an offense under the Penal Code. It's an offense under the National Archives law. It is an offense under the Freedom of Information law. Until now, nothing has happened. So do you see, there is a problem with regard to protecting the public against recalcitrant officials in the judiciary, recalcitrant officials among the lawyers. So I hope that this case, which has now happened regarding this lawyer Keith Myers, we can mention his name because it's in the public domain now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to look at everything and see, are the public being protected? And I blame here two people or two institutions. One, the governor, and two, cabinet. To some degree, the deputy governor as well, because the deputy governor is the one who issued a circular many years ago saying there is no point having freedom of information if you are not keeping records or you are destroying records. Mm-hmm. And he issued those circulars and directed everybody that they should keep records, not delete them, preserve them carefully, because otherwise it's a criminal offense. And yet when it has happened now that some people have not kept records or have destroyed records, the deputy governor is not getting people prosecuted. So I really think that this needs to be looked at very, very carefully. I think that the politicians are failing to protect people, and I think we should speak out. Like I'm trying to speak out, I think other people should try to speak out. I thought this was very, very important to state it this time.
Right. Well, I appreciate you always sharing those thoughts when maybe you got, some quarters thinking about how we can ensure that justice is served and that there is no perception there are those above the law. Hey, thank you very much for that. All right.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you very soon. Always appreciate learning and having the sense of being encouraged by justice. A break to take, I'm told. All right, let's do that and return to the calls. Please stay tuned.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Do you have a chronic illness? Are you a parent or guardian of a child with special health needs? Can you access healthcare services easily? We want to hear from you. From May 1st to May 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be undertaking a public consultation to help inform Cayman's new National Health Strategy. Tell us about your experiences with healthcare across all 3 islands by emailing mohfeedback@gov.ky or by logging on to gov.ky/health-wellness and complete the survey.
Cayman, get ready for an adrenaline-fueled event like no other. Round 2 of the 2024 C1 National Tour, Sunday, May 5th at South Sound Dock. Watch as Cayman's top riders push their jet skis to the limits. JJ McLean, Klein Glidden, Brandon Elliott, and so many others. Family-friendly atmosphere, free admission, food trucks, and non-stop entertainment. Feel the vibe and ride the wave with the Cayman Islands Watercraft Association. Round 2 of the 2024 C1 National Tour, Sunday, May 5th, South Sound Dock, starting at 11 a.m. Proudly sponsored by Car City, Cayman Islands Coast Guard, Cayman Islands Fire Service, Pepsi, Fast Signs, J&M Equipment, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, Party Animals, Seabreeze Charters and Jet Ski Rentals, Verdant Isle Farm, Health City Cayman Islands, National Logistics, Onshore IT, Ministry of Tourism and Ports, Radio Cayman, and Breeze FM.
The Economics and Statistics Office is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 14th. The surveys seek to collect information needed to answer these questions. How did the economy perform in 2023? In 2023, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And as we head up to the news, we do have a caller who's been on for a while waiting. Thank you for being so patient. Let's go to the phones. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. How you doing?
So far, so good.
All right. Glad to hear that, man. Thanks again for listening and for calling in when you can.
Yeah, I was calling to actually just endorse what Mr. Brown was trying to say and what Mr. Ebanks doing afterwards. All to add some meat to the bones of. We had an Indian caller afterwards, and I have to say that after listening to that, I have to agree with a lot of his points as well, but that's a separate and unrelated topic. So initially I was just calling to give an endorsement to what Mr. Brown and Dwayne was saying about the arts and talented Caymanians in general. As you are aware, the greatest resource on our planet is human resource. And it seems that in Cayman, we sacrifice that every day, generation after generation of talented Caymanians seem to get lost in the progress of Cayman. Our focus is on the materialism and the buildings and the structures and everything else, and not on the human resource, which is a shame to say the least, because as our country grows and as we develop as a people, talking about nation building, it's impossible to build a nation without building the people of the nation. And all of this ties right back into the question that we never seem to answer, which is, who are we really developing for? What is all of this progress? What is the purpose of all of this progress?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But is it progress? Should that be a question that we're asking?
I think we all know the answer to that.
Do we?
Whose progress is it is more what we should be asking, or who is progressing? Because it's definitely not all of us. But anyway, I'll leave. That is, it's so difficult to address all the myriad of problems that we seem to have, or that we increasingly seem to create for ourselves with all this progress that is happening around us. And it's a whirlwind. I mean, most recently, I just wanted to, I've been battling our government, a specific department, the General Registry, over the freedom of information, but not under the Freedom of Information law, under the NPO law that gives everyone the right to publicly peruse the register of NPOs. In Section 5 of that law, Clause 3, it clearly states that the register shall be made open to the public. Yet when I go to the General Registry in our government admin and I ask to see the register on a specific NPO, I am told that because my name is not on that register, the registrar cannot allow me to see who the principals are of that NPO. That is completely wrong. That is a maladministration of our law. What is worse is we have senior civil servants who are actually misleading their junior staff to carry out this maladministration of justice. Compounding that problem is the fact that these senior administrators, these senior civil servants, are not, I guess by now they consider themselves paper Caymanian. But if being paper Caymanian means that you are here to circumvent the laws of Cayman or to make things more difficult in Cayman as it is in the country that you've come from, then we need to start thinking as Caymanians very strongly about what the requirements are for people becoming paper Caymanians.
But is that part of the, I mean, from what you shared, is it not part of the big challenge, the bigger picture? I want to come back to your allegation, but what would it take to get us to a point where we no longer have qualifiers, either we're Caymanian or we're not? Why do we have to be defined by paper Caymanian? I mean, if I play for a football team.
Well, I say that because it's blatantly obvious. I mean, there's so much that's blatantly obvious. I recently had to go to a government admin building and been told by several people that I know that are indigenous Caymanian that the majority of the workforce in our government admin building are actually expat workers. Now, whether they're paper Caymanian expat workers or whether they're expat workers on a work permit is almost beside the point. The point is, why is it that it takes so many expat workers to run the administration of the Cayman Islands government when there are so many Caymanians that don't have a job in the Cayman Islands? And like I said, there's a myriad of problems. I started out only calling to endorse what Mr. Brown and them said, but after listening to the gentleman who came after, who, like, I mean, and the only word that comes to my mind is corruption. It's the only thing I can think of. I mean, and it's like the elephant in the room that we're not addressing.
So with that in mind, right, as you alleged earlier with respect to the NPO register.
No. And I'm not alleging. I'm actually parlaying a reality.
Right. So my word is, as I hear you, and I use it consciously and deliberately, right? As you allege, what have you done subsequent to that?
I've filed a complaint. I've filed a written complaint. Definitely, because I believe in the process of the law, and I'm waiting to see the result of that. But in the meantime, justice delayed is justice denied. And let's say that the urgency for me getting that information was a matter of life and death. It could be that someone could be dead as a result of it, all because someone intentionally kept me from information that, according to the law, I have a right to. An NPO is a public entity for the people, of the people. It is not an LLC. There is no way that there are any caveats of secrecy that govern an NPO. There's no reason why at the General Registry, if you walk up as a Caymanian, if you walk up as a foreigner, if you walk up as someone off the street with no particular interest that they can see, should that information be kept from you? Especially when, and I have to add this, especially when the expat population in the Cayman Islands are using their social work that they do to gain points for permanent residency.
If you want, right, there's much that you're sharing that we could unpack, and maybe it's one of those days when you feel so inclined. Are you willing to stay on chat more? Or you, because I'm realizing now that we are way beyond the scheduled news break.
It'll have to be something that we'll schedule for another day. And I mean, this is all coming to bump, and that's why I'm bringing it out now. But
man.
I have to say that I've been shouldering this for over we're now the end of May, so this has been 6 weeks, and it's actually been more than that. It's been almost 2 years that this has been going on. And you know, I mean, it's like there's no teeth in our laws. There's no, and still, while all of this goes on, we still pay these senior civil servants who aren't really Caymanians. I don't care if you got your paper Caymanian status or not. As far as I'm concerned, you operate in that manner. You're not really a Caymanian, but you're being paid handsomely in our country to do a job at the highest level of your performance. And I mean, come on, man. I mean,
but see, this is it, man. I was hoping that you would be able to stay on, but let's, you know what? Sometimes it's only when we feel it that we feel inclined to say it. But thanks very much. I do have that news, and I apologize to the team on this side and to you as well. But we pick it up another time. Stay tuned.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, No Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Jevy Ebanks. David Richard Ebanks, who's charged with the arson of Northside Police Station back in July 2023, could stand trial later this year. Represented by Jonathan Hughes of Samson Law, Mr. Ebanks appeared before Grand Court Mentions on Friday and was told his matter is held over to the 2nd of July. Mr. Ebanks is offered bail pending a suitable address and has requested to be allowed to move back to his home in Northside. The courts indicated that pending approval from checks to its suitability, Mr. Ebanks could return home. In regional news, in St. George's, an opposition legislator who represents the labor movement in Grenada Parliament wants the government to remove legislative restrictions which caps the collective annual salary of public officers to be no more than 13% of the gross domestic product. Caribbean community leaders who attended the summit of the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America Trade Agreement for the People in Venezuela has renewed their call for the lifting of the United States trade and economic embargo against Cuba. And in Haiti, the National Union of Haitian Police Officers is calling on the recently installed Presidential Transitional Council to give priority to the security issues in the French-speaking Caribbean community country. That's your latest headlines. I'm Jevy Ebanks.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News. From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what, though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Passport and Corporate Services Office is advising travelers to check their passports to ensure all is in order ahead of summer holiday travels. Travelers should check their passport validity, verify entry requirements for the destination, and apply for or renew passports and visas early. For more information, call 345-649-7678 or email passportandcorporate@gov.ky.
Providing your child with a quality early childhood education can be expensive. However, the Ministry of Education offers financial assistance through its Early Childhood Assistance Program to help qualifying Caymanian families cover the costs at registered early childhood settings. Visit our online application portal at moeapplications.gov.ky to learn more and get started. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. It is Open Line, and to the last caller, I certainly did not, I want to be dismissive. That's why I extended invitation a week in chat. I'm told now we'll go straight through. We didn't more commercial breaks, but sometimes we try to navigate. How do we balance our callers' comments with the commitment to ensure that we're on time for our breaks, especially our news breaks? So, to the caller and to others, please accept, our apologies and try to appreciate, and try to make that balance. But to the caller's points, sometimes maybe as he shared that, I can be inclined to share this. There was a comment from one of our listeners that sparks a thought in that, if, again, we trust what he says, or as we should in any case, but let's verify. As he shares in relation to the section of the NPO legislation, if it says that, should, in light of the whole notion of the beneficial sort of interest registry that the UK and the EU and all those who want, countries to sign, should that be open and all for everybody everywhere? Or should we have a level of privacy in relation to the data protection, but also just generally? Let's pick that up for a second. We'll take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Starling Ryan.
And to you, sir. How are you today?
Just fine, thank you. I didn't realize I was on.
Yes, sir. Our apologies. Thank you for calling.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to that of beneficial ownership, we have to realize the reasons why many British MPs had asked for this. It's because their constituents or their electors who elect them were wondering who owned these companies, where they noticed that many benefits that were theirs before had been stopped. And these big companies that they work for, they realized that they were, opening businesses in offshore where they had these accounts and so forth, and wanted to know if they were the owners of these and where was this money going. That was considerable tax money, millions, that they wondered why, who, on a disclosure of their names, so they know who the money is going from and so forth. And that was a big thing. And you can see the reasoning politically behind it also, for fairness and so forth. So it's not just a thing they want to know your business or patents or patents and all that. The other thing is, as I understand with what the gentleman a while ago was saying, I know it is, and also agree a lot with what saying, we have to come to terms with the fact that we're going to have to define who is a Caymanian, in that we have generational or indigenous Caymanian. That's the people who have generations down the line here. The indigenous, they call it in the United States. It's called indigenous. The Indians, as we know, and they're given special privileges. Anyone who has ever lived in the United States knows this, so no one can deny it. They have special privileges, and special taxes are exempt. And it's very important, exempt from, and they can do certain businesses that others cannot do in many states. And also, they control many huge lakes of salmon, and this is for way over 90 years, 100 years, that others can't fish there. Only they can fish. So there are benefits to being the indigenous people and recognizing them. We have a very small 3 islands, called it a country. That's what I call it. That's what the United States calls us, a country. And we can easily find that out. It's very easy to find out who is generational or not. That's very, very simple and very easy. The other thing is this with the health thing, and I've said this before till I know everyone is tired of hearing it. The system is wrong, and it will not work. We have a private system for private businesses and people, which is 85% or more of the working populace. Much more probably than that is in the private sector. And they're paying into insurance, especially very, very low-paid people, salaried people, that they cannot afford. And it offers them really nothing. But they have to continue to keep paying into it, even when it's maxed out and they can't get any more use out of that policy for the rest of the year, even though they're ill and have to go to the hospital or there for some sickness, a minor, or going into major, or trying to prevent it from going into major by the good doctors helping them. But they're maxed out. But they have to keep paying the insurance and on a copay of 20% when they go, and they cannot afford it. So it isn't working, and it ends up with the government taking care of, as Mr. O.C. was telling a person who called this morning, I listened to a little of it, that the government will never turn you away. You know? So we have to understand that it's mandatory and it's not working. I've said it over the last 24 years since it was implemented, or 26, I think it is now, that it will not work and cannot work. And I said the reasons why. And we see it more and more and more nowadays. If something is mandatory, I've said it over and over, and I'm not afraid to repeat this. Anything mandatory must taken out of your salary. It's mandatory, or you cannot continue to work, because that was the ad on the radio. They stopped it a few years now, that it must be paid to the government as a tax. A simple health tax for everyone that would make it equitable for all. A percentage of your salary, a small percentage, goes to the government, and it covers everyone for everything. And the more you earn, like many of these big people earning a lot of money, they can afford to pay it percentage-wise for that tax. And it goes to the government's coffers to cover all these things. And every place that, every one that handles health care, every institution, private or not, must abide by it and must accept those people, whether it's government, private, and then it is turned in and then they'll be paid. But that's how it goes in 90% right across Europe and in Canada and so forth. I'm just putting it in simple terms. But you can have health insurance if you can afford it and want it. But you must pay that simple tax. It works.
Mm-hmm.
It works. No one can tell me it doesn't work. So I don't need to hear people saying, well, this is wrong and so forth. No, it works. We cannot allow billions, sometimes trillions they're talking about, of dollars passing through this country. And we have people that are borderline poverty stricken or paupers and cannot afford the health insurance they're paying for and the health care they're paying for, and simply still are mandated to continue paying this. It cannot work. It cannot continue. That is my whole thought on it, and I refuse to move from that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much for giving me the time.
Well, thank you always for taking the time. Have a good afternoon, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you much more as the week goes on. Take care, sir. And I believe we may have what possibly could be the final call, but it could be one after. But let's take this one. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Moderator. Quincy Brown, how are you doing?
Mr. Q, how are you?
A bit painful today. The result of the very, very good, well-organized DG
5K.
Deputy Governor's 5K. Were you there?
I registered this year with for the first time personally, and with the intention of walking. But the day before, I managed to do the one supporting the Lighthouse School. So I know your pain.
Good. Oh, let me tell you. But guess what? No pain, no gain. And the thing is, they've gained, because even though you were not there yesterday, the fact that you registered means you made a contribution to the cause.
Yeah, well, I must share that if she doesn't mind, I don't usually talk about the school, but as you talk about it, the Chief Sustainability Officer and the co-chair, Ms. Jennifer Ahern, we were talking in an exchange, and even though I may, like many of us, offer up our assistance in some way, as Ms. Marlene would remind us, we give her our time, our talent, and our treasure. But there are times when you physically need to also be present, accounted, or to personally participate. And I did that because I was inspired. And I want us, as I think, I may ask of you as you share more, to look at how you can add value to things, both from a distance, but sometimes by being physically, present. And this is what makes a community strong.
And we're only stronger together, and it's all about uniting, coming together, irrespective of what color you were a part of, whether it's what party, what church. So we need to come together. And I know it sounds cliche, but we need to support one another. It's no time to be divisive or dividing and divide and conquer. It's about supporting one another. You support me, I support you. And the truth of the matter is, when you register for a walk run and you're not able to attend, you're off island, you oversleep, you have another engagement, you have still, out of your surplus, you have still contributed to a cause. Like yesterday, we went toward the NCBO, Boys to Men, and the Addie Kelly Foundation. So those who signed up got shirts. Even though you may not have come out, you supported the cause. Now, in coming out, the Master of Ceremonies announced that there were some close to 1,800 persons. All I could see was a sea of blue.
1,800 people.
I did the walk myself. It's a good thing, though, Mr. Moderator. It's a good thing I didn't do the jog, because I wasn't prepared to do a 5K, but I did it all. But this afternoon, I'm limping.
I'm not laughing at you, okay? I'm just understanding what you're sharing, my friend.
But I realize it's 2:26 and time is of the essence. Why I called, though, is if we are to give back to our community, civic community, ecclesial community, in serving and in giving back, I have made mistakes. And I think I say this to my lawyer, I say this to my probation officer, I say this is an open speech to the judiciary. I think that the law has really come down extra hard on me. I think trying to make a point, some of us are held to a higher standard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Prince Brown. I make no apologies for that. When I do good, glory be to God, I get the praise, which the praise should go to God. But when I do bad, if I make a mistake, I'm held to a higher standard. I realize this. And I can't help but mention judges, police officers, public figures, politicians. We're held to a higher standard. I remember 2 years ago, a court in the United States of America, a judge was standing trial. Yep. A judge of the law in the United States was taken to court. Of course, she appealed its sentence, but she lost and had to go to jail. And she was dragged out of the court of law. You think I'm lying? Go on to YouTube. Judge dragged out of court. Yeah. So being held to a higher standard means if I plead guilty for what I'm charged, I go to jail, and I did. I go to Caribbean Haven. But right now, I'm in the community with a monitor on my foot, and I have a curfew. What it's doing is it's hindering me from making a living because, as you know, I'm a freelance master of ceremonies. So in order for me to go out after 7, which at this time I can't, I must be home 7 p.m. each day. If I'm to be able to get in and work as MC or freelance work after 7 p.m., I need to ask the court to either extend my curfew or I need to ask them when are they going to take off the monitoring facility. Listen, I'm a former journalist. We have a lot of ills in our society, and it's not my job to call the talk show and start naming criminals. That's not my job. But we all know who the criminals are when it comes to the drug trade. I'm humbly asking for mercy. I know I deserve justice, but please give me mercy so that I can return to some level of normalcy. I pled guilty for the $10 illegal substance, but foreigners can come here with 6 packages, grams, ounces, and get a heavy fine but no jail time. Something's not right with that. So I'm going to end there. It's almost time for you to close off, but let's give back to our community, and I'm begging for a chance to give back to my community, either in a job working for a salary, as a freelancer, or someone who's volunteering. Please, courts of law, have mercy on me. Quincy Brown, thanks for taking my call.
Quincy, thank you very much for sharing what you did. And perhaps as we listen to him, I thank you all very much for sharing, and to all. Your view sometimes is only shared because he who feels it knows it. Sometimes it knows only when we are impacted and affected by something that we are so inclined to voice publicly. But maybe if we are champions of against injustices, maybe if we are willing to stand in a gap because we see wrong and want to right it, we're told, often, if not now, when, if not me, who? Many of us will not step up because we are afraid. Not a word that I like to use, but coward. That's not who we are as a people. Certainly not the stock from which I come. I know it's not of you as well. But maybe sometimes we've done it over and often and we just get kicked in the teeth. We say, nope, no more. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, but it's only when we quit, we give up, or when we become apathetic, when we have such a malaise and a mindset that we no longer are willing to stand up for what is right. I often would say that the scripture that says, lead me not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I would say, well, maybe it says, lead me not into temptation, for I shall find it myself. It isn't to be sacrilegious. It isn't to offend the scriptures, but it's because of a recognition. Sometimes we have people who draw alongside of us who help us to down our path to destruction, instead of drawing alongside and say, hey, you're going this way, let's go this way. Or you're going this way, but that's not the way to go. They'll hold on for their life, trying hard to prevent you from going off the precipice. I struggle often as a personal sort of, admission with this notion that says, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I think I understand what that means. Some would counter, well, you can salt the hay. Again, when we expend all that energy and time and effort and all the like to get the horse to water, why? To love it, to starve to death as it looks at its own reflection? Where are we as a people to stand up? Too many people, because of their position, the power and the prestige, the pay that they seem to want to get from how they position themselves, and yet there's nothing. there's an emptiness in their heart, less in their minds. Some would have heard their forefathers refer to others as, water in the brain. They don't really have anything in between. Those ears that are not inclined to listen, and a heart that is not intended to help, and hands who have been clasped in such a way that they no longer, not even form fists to pound the pavement and ensure that people are protected, but they form such a strong, encampment around themselves that they no longer have any purpose. Well, that cannot be, my friends. That cannot be. And in a time when we need people to stand in the gap, there is within us a calling. Are we prepared to answer it? Please enjoy your afternoon, and tomorrow we got a few things in store, but at the end of the day, are we looking to unify our nation, or are we only looking for self-aggrandizement? Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Tower.